And Tuscaloosa County Sheriff Ron Abernathy joins me now. Thank you so much for being with us, Sheriff.
Thank you.
We're looking back at Holt and that piece, and Holt was an area, 15 fatalities.
That's correct.
In that community.
15 between Holt and the Brookwood area. That's correct.
A really hard-hit area, and it seems to be it seems to be a little bit slow in that area. But you saw a lot of action there on April 27th. You and your deputies.
Absolutely. There was, of course, massive destruction in that particular area and throughout the county. And, of course, it initially started more in the Rosedale area and started that direction.
Right.
So one of the dilemmas that we were faced with were the lack of resources that we typically can call upon. So a lot of our officers had to step up. The citizens out there stepped up to assist us in trying to provide as much care as what we could.
One of the things we saw was very quickly ambulances were not available, things of that nature. So your deputies are actually picking up people into their own vehicles and just doing whatever they need to do to make it work.
That is exactly correct. What occurred was we would typically be calling for fire rescue, for ambulances to respond. Unfortunately, all those units were tied up within the city. Of no choice other than the volume of calls that were there. So from our command center, our dispatch center, we were having to instruct these officers to do something that they had not really done before, and that was to transport those victims by their vehicles, in private POVs, personal vehicles of citizens. We actually had one situation where Ron Hampel, employee of ours, was able to fly the helicopter in the Hope-Peterson area and actually fly an individual with a serious head injury from that location to DCH. In the area of Eagle Cove Marina, we actually transported a victim by boat to get them to a location where we could get them back into DCH. So way beyond the norm. You
all were improvising something among your other training, something your deputies have done in hurricane response, for example. You've added some new things to your strategy now because of April 27th. For example, the things that you have to keep in your car now if you're a deputy. You got a sledgehammer now. You didn't used to have that.
That is so correct. We have sledgehammers, breaching type tools that we've implemented. Our deputy paramedic program that was implemented to provide additional resources. And one thing that we're working from a county-wide perspective is our consolidated 911 center, which is going to be a tremendous help for all citizens, throughout Tuscaloosa County. It'll be a hard facility. It will increase our capabilities for communication, coordination, and efficiency within our various agencies.
And we owe so much to our first responders, Sheriff Ron Abernathy. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Next up, we'll take you to 10th Avenue in Tuscaloosa to take a look at the bigger and better Rosedale apartments. Plus, WVUA 23's Richard Scott and Danny Salter and Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox join me for a roundtable discussion. That's when Faces of the Storm 5 years later continues.